Excellent question.
Thank
What
you.
we have seen this election cycle is that the Republican Party has adopted many of the strategies that the Democrat Party had previously used to turn out the vote. Historically, Republicans vote in large numbers on Election Day on November 5th. They generally do not vote in the early votings. However, this election cycle, we have seen the Trump campaign urge his voters to get out and early vote, vote by mail-in ballot, use all of the Democrat strategies to increase their vote. We have seen this have a lot of success. The early voting turnouts, as you mentioned, in Georgia are reaching record numbers. The early voting in Florida and in Pennsylvania have also reached record numbers. And what we are seeing, interestingly, is that the Republican Party is pulling ahead in early voting, which was hoped for by the campaign, but probably the success they've had so far is a surprise to them. One of the factors affecting the early vote turnout that we were seeing with the Democrat Party is that many Democrats are not enthusiastic about Kamala Harris this election cycle. What we are
Why do
seeing
you
in
see they're not
addition,
enthusiastic about Kamala Harris, the Democrats?
mm, great question. She is seeing very low voter turnout, and it is looking as though we are seeing men, in particular working class men, union workers, men who work in the service industries, men under 50 years old. They are just not turning out for Kamala Harris. For some reason, Kamala's message on the economy is not attracting men. Um, they are just not turning out for her in the numbers that she needs. Also, we are seeing surprisingly working class women, in particular Black women and Hispanic women, are not turning out for Harris in the numbers that they expect. This is likely due to the economy. Um, Also, we've seen many large national unions, such as the Auto Workers Union, the newspaper unions, the Los Angeles Times. They are just refusing to endorse any candidate, which means they're not endorsing Harris, which is a very serious blow to the Harris campaign. She needs to turn out these voters, particularly in Pennsylvania. Harris needs
And what about
Pennsylvania to win the
Georgia?
Electoral
And what
College.
about Georgia?
Georgia has been the subject of many lawsuits over the last couple of years. The turnout in Georgia seems to be going towards Trump in the early voting.
And there were allegations by Harris towards Trump about what happened in the last elections when he was running for elections when the Biden administration or Joe Biden was was the head of the United States or the president of the United States.
Yes. And Georgia was one of the heavily contested swing states. It was the subject of lawsuits. The Trump campaign suspected irregularities with the ballots. This is the state Trump famously said to the Secretary of State, find me more ballots. So Georgia has been the center of a lot of controversy. It's looking like the Trump campaign to turn out early voting is meeting a lot of success, probably because the residents of Georgia have seen many lawsuits. The famous Fannie Willis lawsuit took place in Georgia. That lawsuit has been suspended. No one knows if it will ever come to a conclusion. However, Georgia, along with Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, those are the states to keep an eye on. Harris needs to win Pennsylvania and at least one of Michigan or Wisconsin. Whoever wins Georgia will likely take the Electoral College. So once again, Georgia is among the states where there's early voter turnout. And because of the previous lawsuits and controversy, the Trump campaign is pushing extremely hard in Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania.
They're both actually pushing very hard in Georgia, specifically Georgia.
Yes, yes. Georgia is very
Could
important.
you please
The
elaborate
way
more on the idea and the concept that they're both pushing in this state specifically?
Yes. Well, Georgia is considered one of the bellwether states. The way Georgia votes is usually also the way that other states, other southern states will vote. Also, Georgia has a very large African American population. The large numbers of Black people in Georgia have reliably
But to my
turned out the
knowledge,
vote
Ms.
for the
Champion,
Democrats.
the Muslim Americans and the American Latinos do not want to vote for either Donald Trump or Harris at this point, and they decided to boycott the elections this time. How do you read this?
Yes, this is a very interesting situation. We're seeing many different demographic groups respond in different ways. The Democrats and the Republicans were very surprised that the Arab American population in America and the Muslim population really turned against Harris because of the events in Gaza, the events in the Middle East. They're very upset that the Biden administration, and by extension Harris, has seemed to fall in line with the military-industrial complex. Netanyahu has run all over Biden, and essentially Harris seemed as though she was forced to agree with sending more weapons to Israel.